people attached to this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So tell me a little bit about when you first read the script and what interested you in taking the part.
Well, when I first read the script, I thought it was just one of the most amazing things, I really mean that I'd read. And for an actor to look on page 1 and see this character of Russ, this man, you know, waking up in the middle of the night and getting that phone call, it just, you know, you can't wait to see where this is going to go. And you right away feel for, who is he? And there's no sense of what this man's life is. That's going to come later. And I thought it was one of the most interesting introductions to a character I'd seen in a long time on the page. And so, you know, the next thing is you realize this guy gets this call in the middle of the night, and then he has to get on a plane with this information, fly with this information, land, meet a detective who's going to take him to a morgue and identify his son. And then he is told after that, you know, what happened to his daughter-in-law. And it just, this sequence of events that happens to this one character, and then, you know, reading through the whole script, you see what happens to the introduction of Barb, and the way Russ says, have you called his mother yet? And you can just from the line and where it happens in the sequence of information, know that this is not going to be easy.
Right.
And then there's that scene, and then these other characters. It just was an incredible experience to read the script. So, you know, John was talking about the meeting that we had, and I remember it well because it was very surreal for me in a way, because I was in New York, I live here, and I after I read the script, I called the powers that be at the agency to say, I just read this. You're right. It's great. I'd like to sit down with John and Michael if I could, just to 10 minutes of their time, if I could, just to speak. And it was early in the process, and they told me that. And I said, I know they're not casting now, but you know, if I could go out there tomorrow and just wherever they are. So I didn't think I was going to hear anything back, but apparently they were open to this. And I got a call saying they'll see you tomorrow. And I thought, oh shit.
That was your first test.
That's right. So I got the really early flight. I remember arriving, I think it was a Wednesday, and I arrived at their office. And they said, come on, we're going to go over here to get a bite to eat. And I thought, wow, 10 minutes has turned into a lunch. That's a good sign. And what was really strange about it was, while I was sitting there, behind both of them, it was at the Walt Disney commissary. And behind both John and Michael, you know, there was Mickey, and they were talking about this movie, this show. But I was early. The thing I want to say was I was early for the meeting. I rented a car, came to the Disney lot. I was sitting there waiting for 12 o'clock to come, and I started writing down thoughts I had about the character, because you always, you know, you get asked in these meetings, what did you think of the character? And you tend to answer that in what you feel later to be a too general way. So I wanted in this meeting to be as specific as possible. So I started writing things down. Anyway, it got to be 12, met them, we walked, we sat down, we were talking, and John said, so what do you think of the character? and I thought, I wrote it on, you know, the notes thing that you have on your phone. It wasn't actually a pen and paper. So I pulled out my phone, and they were looking at me like, what, he's gonna make a phone call? And I pulled out my phone, and I said, if I could read something to you, I think it would best answer that. And I hadn't had a chance to reread or anything. It was a list of things that I felt this character, this man, was about. And as I was reading it, I thought, this is either moving them so far away from wanting me to play the role, or, you know, what I wrote demonstrates a real connection that I felt.
Do you remember what some of the things were that you wrote down for us?
Well, there were things along the lines of the sort of the interior life of the character, the activities of the character, the social life, or lack of the character, what his current employment might be, what what sort of relationships he might have where he lives in Arizona. There were what he watches on television, what he eats, what he has in the kitchen. It was just a lot of just ideas about who this person was, disconnected from the things that really matter most.
Right.
What sort of life has he tried to make for himself?